Welcome, everybody, and we should be able to finish Chapter 15 of Fallout Equestria, so
I nodded. It's
let's
okay, I'll be
continue.
right back.
She do this a lot.
I heard him ask my companions as I slipped off into the mist, following the sound. Do what? Calamity snickered. Wander off? Break travel to explore random ruins? All the time. I was approaching a building. Half of it was a huge barn with vast shattered windows. The other half loomed castle-like in the mist. My pitbuck flashed a name across the EFS. 4 Stars Grand Terminal and Central Offices. The music cut out with a loud, static-laced pop. Hello, Watcher. Hello, Little Pip. I see you've made a new friend. Maybe, I said, not committing either way. As if on cue, Steelhoof's deep voice resonated through the mist.
Little Pip, are you okay?
Wow, stealthy he was not. Hey, the mechanical voice of Watcher expressed. That voice sounds familiar. That didn't surprise me. Steelhoof's voice was very distinctive, and if Watcher had been snooping on the equestrian wasteland for any length of time, it may very well be that he had spied on the Steel
Or
Rangers.
he knew him before
Watcher.
the war, or
Now
during the
there
war.
was some pony who deserved to be suspected as a covert ops spy pony. I looked around for the sprite bot, but the fog concealed it expertly. Instead, I spotted twin vending machines, Sparkle Cola and Sunrise Sarsaparilla, and a third set just a few yards down from them,
That was weird.
Iron Shot's Ammo Emporium. The last had been torn apart and thoroughly looted. I felt a chill, imagining the kind of pre-war world where you could buy ammo along with your soft drinks at a street-side vending machine.
Okay, that's kind of fucked
No
up.
pony interaction necessary. Watcher, was there a Ministry of Awesome? It was just a leading question. Clearly, I already knew. Ah yes, Rainbow Dash. The disembodied artificial voice somehow managed to sound amused, even though it had no inflection at all. Yes, one of Equestria's heroes did decide that her ministry would be the Ministry of Awesome. They even built a ministry headquarters for it on Ministry Walk. I assume Calamity mentioned it. I nodded. Then, realizing Watcher probably couldn't see me any better than I could see the sprite bot, although it would truly surprise me if that was the case,
Infrared.
I stated, yes. Ministry Walk.
Shit.
I'd heard of that place before, but I couldn't quite put my hoof on where or when. After pondering it fruitlessly, I finally asked, what did the Ministry of Awesome do? I hated, loathed, questioning something Calamity had told me, especially based on something Steelhoofs had said. Even more so after Calamity had not done the same. Not much, Watcher said to my great sense of relief. I mean, Rainbow Dash did throw 2 or 3 projects their way. The Single Pony project was one of theirs, for example. But for the most part, they just lounged around and did nothing. After a few years, Luna ordered it crated up, and they began using the MAW HQ for storage. Another question came to me. I activated my Pitbuck's inventory arrangement smell and opened my saddlebags, then stopped, checking to make sure. Can you see me? Yes, Little Pip, I can see you. Thought so. I floated out 2 statuettes I had found. What are these? Of course, Watcher knew the answer. Limited edition Ponies of Harmony. Those are some pretty nice little magical artifacts you have there. Only 42 were ever made. 42?
The
I was
answer to
expecting
everything.
closer to 6. Equestria's heroines, the 6 pony friends whose virtues matched the elements of harmony. There were 7 sets made, 1 for each of them, and 1 that Luna kept for herself. The ponies mostly gave them to each other, although a few of the statuettes were passed on to loved ones or family members. That made sense. Sweetie Belle had her sisters. Applejack would have given 1 of herself to her buck friend Applesnack. I wondered if the one I found in Old Appaloosa had originally been a gift for Brayburn. Who was? I never got to finish my question. A crack of static replaced Watcher with the voice of Red-Eye, who was in the middle of telling everyone that raiders, ghouls, and hellhounds were bad. His voice faded as
Raiders?
the sprite bot wandered
You
aimlessly
can't argue
away
with that
from me
first
until
one.
it was swallowed entirely by the mist. 4 Stars was an elevated train company which had once provided public transportation for the Manhattan metropolis. Steelhoof suggested that if the monorails were still intact, it would make the easiest route through the city, carrying us over the maze of rubble and away from the most radiation-twisted aberrations and occasional raiders that lurked in the ruins. It sounded like a good plan, so I stopped at the still-illuminated sign mapping out the rails. The station was part of the Luna Line. The Celestia Line, which crossed it at several points, led straight to Tempony Tower. Calamity finished rummaging through the garbage bins, returning with a surprising collection of sellable items and a few dozen bottle caps. Velvet Remedy rolled her eyes. Well, I hope that's enough for you to buy a bath once we get to 10, Pony. I looked across the waiting station towards the heavy doors into the more castle-like office structure. There were blackened panels that looked like turret emplacements which had been destroyed ages ago. Curiously, I trotted over to the door and tried it. Locked. Well, that was just begging for me to open it.
What are you doing?
Steelhooves asked as he and the others joined me. I want to see what's inside, I said simply, focusing on the lock. This was a hard one. 4 Stars did not want to give up its secrets easily.
That
which
means
only made
there's
me all the
goodies.
more intent
Maybe
on
a
learning
unique
what those
weapon.
secrets were. I heard Calamity make a snicker that clearly translated to "told you so." The lock clicked. Triumphantly, I swung the door open. In an eye blink, I registered the expanse of the gray lobby, its semicircular desk fortified with sandbags and makeshift barricades.
Was
In
there
that glimpse, I
fighting
saw
here?
the scattered bodies of dozens of steel rangers, suits of magical power armor holding skeletal pony remains.
Ooh.
And I saw the 3 scorched holes in the ceiling that once held turrets. The remaining turret of the 4 Stars lobby ceiling swung around and opened fire. I was taken by surprise, but Velvet Remedy had been prepared. Her shield burst around me even as the air was filled with the rat-tat-tat-tat-tat of machine gun fire. However, my shield gave no protection. The bullets ripped right through it. Then through my armor, and through me. My body tore apart in agony, dozens of things going horribly wrong inside all at once as at least 6 shots passed clean through me and buried themselves into the station's floor tiles. I barely heard the explosive roar of Steelhoof's grenade machine gun as I collapsed, sound and light fleeting from me. It was as if I was falling down a well. Through the distant ring above, I could see the ceiling detonate in a mass of fireballs.
To be
then come
honest,
raining down with a
They
distant
should have been
thunder
crowding
collapsing
around
into the
her. I
lobby
mean, as soon as the
below.
door opened, she could have just moved off to the side.
I returned to the wasteland of the living, alert and in pain. Velvet Remedy was pouring another extra-strength restoration potion down my throat. I choked, gasping. Welcome back, little Pip. We came very close to losing you. Velvet's voice was stern with worry. What happened? Calamity's voice called out from somewhere further into the rubble. Armor-piercing bullets. His voice sounded disbelieving and alarmed.
Stop.
Ordered Steelhooves. I panicked, wondering what I was doing that I could stop, but his exclamation was directed towards Calamity.
I will not let you loot the bodies of fallen rangers.
Hey, Calamity shot back. In case you didn't notice, they ain't using this stuff anymore.
Right.
And the ammo in that ridiculous battle saddle yours throws around ain't cheap and ain't the sort of stuff you find in Raiders ammo boxes or in desk drawers of office buildings. We need to scavenge it from wherever we can, whenever we can. Calamity quieted a moment, then trotted into view with a missile in his mouth. Trust me, he ain't missing it. He spat out the missile into the pile he was collecting,
Hey,
shooting a
careful
glower
with
at
that fucking
Steelhooves.
thing, man.
I looked to Velvet Remedy, who was prodding me to drink more. Right, from now on, sneak in buildings that might not be friendly. Steelhooves made his way back to me. I wondered how covert super death pony like I looked to him now, my armor full of holes and covered in my own sticky blood. I would need to have it cleaned and mended when I got to Ten Pony Tower. Or maybe sooner.
Sooner's
I was
probably
guessing
better.
I didn't look much better than I had coming out of Ponyville.
You definitely got my attention.
He said, and turned towards the nearest dead ranger.
Now, I want to know more about this building, too.
I nodded.
Understandable.
Okay, let's split up then. I considered keeping Velvet Remedy at my side, but realized it wasn't the best play. Steelhooves with me. Velvet, would you mind staying with Calamity? You two look into the rest of this floor in the basement. We'll check out the offices upstairs.
No,
Velvet
take the
smiled,
power
but then
armor.
fixed me with a harsh glare.
There's like 3 to 4 of them there. Assuming the power armor still got enough charge in it, take some of it. You got Steelhooves. He could teach you how to wear and use it. What kind of Fallout protagonist are you? You always go for the power armor. That's what Fallout 4 did right. Right from the start, you got power armor, and you got it in a pretty cool way.
Be careful. A lot more careful than this was. I promised. Attention all 4 Stars employees. In conjunction with new safety and security protocols, all employees will be issued a standard issue military class firearm. This firearm is to be worn at all times while on company property. Failure to do so, or failure to keep your firearm well maintained and properly loaded, will be grounds for termination under Employee Uniform Policy 13B. In the unlikely event of an incursion onto 4-Star's private property by government forces, all employees are required to defend 4-Star's proprietary property and executive personnel. All employees are therefore required to attend at least one of the 3 4-Star's defense and teamwork building weekend training programs this month. Failure to do so will be grounds for termination under Employee Attendance Policy 6F. Daisy May will be providing some of her lovely home-baked flour cookies for refreshments after the FSDTB exercises. Yum.
What?
I read that same message before. It was on each terminal I'd hacked into. It didn't make any more sense to me now than it did the first time. I looked over to Steelhoofs, checking to make sure everything was alright.
The fuck
before
was
I clicked
that?
The next one.
Like, you
I
can't...
figured now was a good time as any to ask.
Okay, the day you're... Okay, here's the thing. The day you... Unless you're living in a fascist, far-right, or, well, any type of totalitarian police state, which is... That doesn't... Like... Just a totalitarian police state with... And your company tells you... Oh my god, this... Okay. If you work for a company and your company sends you... gives you a note that says... If government forces ever attack the property, you are required to lay down your life for the property and the executives. Get the... Unless you're a security guard or you've been hired specifically to do that, get the fuck out of there. Because there is some shady shit going down. Oh my god.
Steelhoofs, have you ever heard of someone named Flutter Guy? Steelhoofs whinnied.
Why do you ask?
Oh, I heard some pony say your voice sounded like Flutter Guy. Steelhoofs gave me a little stomp.
Heard that before.
My ears perked. I'd figured it was a long shot at best to think Steelhoofs would have any knowledge about the pony Watcher had mentioned. I opened my muzzle to ask, but he silenced me.
It's just a joke.
Oh, so much for insight. I turned back to the terminal messages. Evacuation policy, employee version. We here at 4-Stars value your commitment to the company. In the extremely unlikely event of a federal raid, or worse, a megaspell attack, it is every employee's duty to bodyguard key personnel and ensure the safe evacuation of all employees in the following order. Number 1. President of 4-Stars and any shareholders on property.
Oh, fuck you!
Number 2. Members of executive management. Number 3. Head researchers. Number 4. The President's Secretary, Daisy May. Number 5. Members of mid-level management. Number 6. Research assistants with red, black, or gold level clearance. Number 7. Research assistants with orange or white level clearance. Number 8. Floor supervisors. Once all of the above have been safely evacuated from the property, we encourage you to seek your own safety. To ensure your protection, we are issuing military-class armor-piercing ammo to all employees above supervisor level. I sat back from the terminal and promised myself that if ever I was somehow hurled back in time, I would never go to work here. There was a surprising amount of still functional arcano technology in this building. Or, at least, there had been. Steelhoofs was not subtle, and every time he took out one of the security brain bots or spider-like guard bots, he did massive damage to everything nearby.
You need to get that guy a
Scavenging
new
had been
weapon.
reduced to finding things inside metal desks or looting boxes of ammo. Fortunately, there were quite a few of each. Nobody had safely broken into this place in centuries, and the sheer number of ammo boxes alone could have supported a small army. Calamity had been right. Not one of the boxes included missiles or grenade ammo, but we had just enough of about everything else, including a lot of armor-piercing rounds, to last a good long time.
Not bad,
with
not
extra
bad.
to sell. The prevalence of armor-piercing ammo had Steelhoofs convinced this place had been fortifying especially against the Steel Rangers. There was one more, and this one seemed a private message, not duplicated on any other terminal yet. Ari, Satin. I heard the Ministry of Morale got her. Charges of sedition. MOM agents broke into her house in the middle of the night last weekend and hauled her away. Management is throwing fits on the floor above me. They seem sure Satin will say something, or worse, remember something. All I know is I'm expecting armored ministry goons to buck in the doors any day now. Fuck those Appleseed shooters. I'm gonna start bringing my gun from home. Steelhoofs turned away, protecting my flank as I snuck forward. I split my attention between the hall and my EFS compass as I scouted ahead, checking rooms, digging into desks, and looking through bookshelves until another splash of red lit up my compass. Backtracking, I pointed Steelhooves in the direction of the next hostel. Then, I lingered back in a side room, not wanting to be caught in the backwash that accompanied any attack he made in the narrow hallway. A robotic voice called out.
This is private property, federal pigs. Surrender and be annihilated.
It was immediately followed by the whoosh of a rocket. The hallway erupted in...
As he started adding special effects, because when he did that vending machine thing, the voice changed and it kind of weirded me out. Weird.
Flame.
I wish I knew ahead of
To
time.
my surprise, I heard Steelhooves hit the floor. Luna shitting moon rocks. That was from a security robot. What kind of robot fires missiles? I pulled out my sniper rifle, loading armor-piercing bullets into it. Then, crouching low, I took a peek around the corner. The robot took up most of the hall, and looked like the mutant child of a Steel Ranger in a tank. Its 4 legs ended up in shredded balls that propelled it slowly down the corridor.
That ain't no
I counted at least
Pt3.
3 weapons, including a missile launcher turret and a minigun set into a swiveling chest mount that could rotate 180 degrees around the robot's frame. My mind searched for an appropriate level of profanity.
Oh, it's
but
one of
came
those
up
big
blank as a new
robots.
glass flank.
I
The
think
thing
they were
was
first
rolling towards
introduced in
Steelhooves.
Fallout
It
3.
was moving, but down.
God,
The
one of those
chest minigun
things.
swung
I
towards
met
the
one of those
fallen
things in
ranger.
Fallout 4. Ugh.
I was quite certain that it had armor-piercing ammo of its own. Leaping around the corner, I swung the sniper rifle and stared down its scope. That minigun stopped pointing towards Steelhooves and began to turn towards me as I slid into SATs, targeting Nirvana. The sniper rifle roared off 3 shots in quick succession. The first 2 bullets punched small holes in the head of the tank-like Sentinel, seeming to only slightly impair its targeting. The Sentinel's minigun tore up the wall, a single bullet tearing into my armor for a deeply grazing hit across my left flank.
Well, it's only grazing.
My third shot struck into the missile turret, which promptly exploded. The
Good.
rockets had been designed to take out a Steel Ranger. They were just as effective in rendering the Sentinel inert. My left hind leg felt wobbly, fresh blood mixing with the matted, sticky mess of my coat. I hobbled over to Steelhooves.
She's going
His
to
armor
get
was
so many
administering
diseases.
health potions and bolstering drugs. The armor's self-repair spell was consuming scrap metal from an armored compartment over his right flank, rebuilding itself. I stopped
That's
a moment to
fucking
marvel at
awesome.
what Applejack and her ministry had created. "Will you be okay?" I asked. Steelhooves nodded, stalwartly not moaning. "Then I'll be right back. I want to know what that monster was guarding." The Sentinel robot had been guarding the office suite of the President of 4 Stars. The desk was armored, designed for use as a barricade.
finally find
and
out
there
what
was a
they were
hidden panel
doing.
in the wall. Well, it would have been hidden if it had been closed. The desk was locked. Picking it cost me a bobby pin and netted me what looked like a security pass card.
Excellent.
I nickered at the irony, suspecting the card would have let us freely bypass all of the robotic security we had fought through to get here.
Yeah.
Several locked boxes of ammo were hidden under the desk. As I opened the first, I found half a dozen Matrix disruption grenades.
Ooh.
I knew immediately that they were designed to disrupt the spell matrices of the Steel Ranger armor, rendering them helpless just as the Alicorn's attack had done to Steelhooves. But I couldn't help but thinking how such grenades could also disrupt the more mundane technologies of most robots, including the one guarding this room. Magical shotgun of dragon slaying in the dragon's chamber indeed. It took me several tries to hack into the computer, each time backing out before it could recognize the intrusion and lock me out completely.
That's how you do it.
Evacuation policy, executive version. When Manhattan suffers a megaspell event, or worse, if the Ministry of Morale stages a raid on this property,
Was that
all
worse?
executive offices of 4 Stars are to proceed to the basement stable in accordance to evacuation procedures ZS-1A, FD, listed below. Please keep to your assigned routes. The 4 Stars stable is guaranteed to keep you safely protected in the event of either catastrophe, and has food, water, and medical supplies to outlast even a complete megaspell event. Nearly 12 whole weeks' worth. The FSS has also included an armory, firing range to keep in practice, and plenty of reading material to keep you occupied. These include instruction manuals on how to acclimate yourself to the new exterior environment once after effects of megaspell detonations have subsided, and proper etiquette for greeting our ruling zebra benefactors. Okie dokie Loki. Steel Rangers were not Ministry of Morale. Some pony had called in the big guns. And worse, the ponies in charge had been expecting it. What were they doing? According to the attached map, the hidden stairs would lead us right down to the basement. we would be able to meet up with Calamity and Velvet Remedy swiftly from there. I began picking the lock on the weapons
12
cabinet.
weeks.
Like the terminal, it pushed the limits of my
Okay.
skills. I was tempted
I
to
think
use
these
one of
people
my
are just
party time
idiots.
mentals to give me that extra edge, but just before I gave up and did so, the cabinet opened. Inside was an armored dress unlike any I had seen before. Red and black with golden trim, perfectly preserved. I pulled it out and draped it over my back, thinking Velvet Remedy would look stunning.
Okay, so it's an actual dress.
The armor also came with a helmet, but I was tempted to leave it. The flourish of red feathers almost screamed target. Also inside were several assault carbines of a peculiar and impressive design.
Ooh.
One of them was scoped and fitted with a silencer. It had a custom wood-carved handle stained with stripes of white and black. "Been waiting for you, little Pip." Calamity smiled at me as I joined him in the basement.
Did you take all the
He
guns?
and Velvet Remedy stood before the door sealed with a terminal.
Always take
Looking
all
at the
the
terminal,
guns.
I was pleased to discover that it had a magic eye for scanning pass cards. Damn thing would be useful after all. I offered Velvet Remedy the outfit I had found. She shunned the helmet as garish, but soon had Calamity helping her into the armored dress. I turned my attention to the terminal, floating up the pass card.
Where in the hell did you find that?
Steelhoof's voice boomed as he finally caught up with us. I turned to look at him as I telekinetically held the pass card in place. Steelhoofs had stopped at the bottom of the stairs and was staring at Velvet Remedy. "Little Pip found it in a locker upstairs," Velvet Remedy answered, prancing. "How do you think it looks on me?" "Beautiful," answered Calamity with a breath. "Red and gold matches the streaks in your mane and tail." Then, with a sheepish grin, "And I've never seen anything like it, which means no pony will mistake you for a raider or slave and accidentally shoot you." The terminal's magic eye looked over the pass card and bleeped happily. "Welcome, Mrs. President." Inner mechanics began to hiss and grind as the door began to open.
That's so weird.
This wasn't
that he
anything
now
as
has
sophisticated as a stable tech
effects.
door, but it was certainly a few grades above anything I had seen in the wasteland.
I might shoot her.
Steelhoofs grumbled. We all shot him perplexed and nasty looks.
That,
He explained.
is a Zebra Legionnaire's uniform.
Calamity whistled. Velvet Remedy suddenly looked very uncomfortable. I turned away, choosing to look instead into the darkness of the open mini-stable in front of me. Gleaming in the darkness, the eyes of at least a dozen zombie ponies stared back at me. Then I did a double take. Zombies, yes, but not ponies.
They're zebras! Pause. Okay. Okay, so we figured out what it is. So this 4-star whatever is a zebra infiltration company? I mean, yeah, it's zebras. But are they infiltrators or are they actual zebras? Like, were all the companies zebras, or were they ponies who were for zebras, or... Don't know. But apparently that dress is a Zebra Legionnaire's uniform. It's a dress, right? I mean, when Lil Pip saw it, she said armored dress, so I think, oh, it's armor, like full armor, because sometimes people, I actually know I mean, it's a dress, right? An actual dress, not... The problem is you can intermix words a lot. So, like, when I hear armored dress, like those two words together, I think of, like, a full suit of armor from, like, top to bottom. But apparently it's an actual dress. Did the Zebra Legionnaires wear dresses? I'm gonna have to go back and read that, because I'm confused. I'll go back and read that. And we almost forgot. We haven't done this thing. There's not a lot to say about that. Yeah, it's a Zebra Legionnaire's uniform, but it's an actual dress? Well, apparently the president of this company was a female, but I would like to think that you don't discriminate with the uniforms. Like, I mean, a guy's uniform... like the military. I mean, okay, there are some minor differences, but the core... My brain is all kind of fucked up now. Because it's supposed to be a Legionnaire's uniform, so you think it'd be utilitarian, it'd be military. and it was kept in a safe where it's out of sight. So why is it an actual dress? Is it a dress uniform? It could be a dress uniform. Yeah, but when I think a dress that Velvet Remedy likes, I'm thinking elegant and not practical for any military uniform, even a dress one. But then again, these are ponies. Well, zebras, but ponies and the peoples who inhabit the world of Equestria are not practical, so I could see it. I could definitely see it. So, did zebras just not understand how mega spells work? Because 12 weeks of food, maybe they just didn't care. Maybe they lied. But then they went through all the work of well, it might not have been. I don't know. We'll find out next time whether the zebras just cut these guys loose and said let them die in a underground vault with only 12 weeks of food. That is not even close to long enough. Or whether the zebras just had no idea the full effects of a full mega spell launch. If they didn't, then I doubt they would have built. They probably built vaults or stables, but they might not have been up to snuff like stable techs. Oh, that could be all kinds of interesting implications for the zebra side of the world. We'll find out next chapter. And footnote. New perk. Level up again. I don't think she's getting that many experience points, so how's she level up? Little Pip is using cheats. She has got the console. Action Filly. You know your targeting spell like the back of your hoof, making you about 20% cooler in combat. For each level of this perk, you gain plus 15 action points. Cool. I'll edit this and get this up tomorrow. So, see you guys later.